Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaistushtyuvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitan Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vriddhishravaha Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha Swastinastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swastino Brihaspatirdadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Na antaf pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhayataf pragyam, na pragyana ganam, na pragyam, na pragyam, adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapancha upashamam, shantam, shivam, advaitam, chaturtham manyante, sa atma sa vigyeyaha. So we were looking at the word ekatma pratyayasaram. This is what we were examining, and we'll just complete that analysis and then go to prapancha upashamam. So ekatma pratyayasaram meant was that there are pratyayas. Pratyayas means, there's another word for pratyaya which is pratiti. And I think I may have mentioned this to you, I forget whether I did or not, but the etymology of the word pratiti, this is why I think the Sanskrit language is not kind of like nice to know, but almost essential to know if you want to have a very clear picture of the sense of freedom in our life. It's very interesting. You know, we talked about the word like anubhava for experience. And I think I talked about pratiti also. The pratiti also means a copy, not the real thing. That's what pratiti means. Prati iti. Iti means the way things are. Yatha, what is called in Sanskrit also, for those of you that know a little bit of it, called yathartha. Yathartha means that a vastu, a thing, a description of a vastu as it is, it's called yathartha. Like in the classical example of the rope and snake, so if you say rope, which is what it is, then it is yathartha. But suppose you don't see that vastu as it is, then it is called ayathartha. So you add the word means nanj, means negation. So ayathartha means not yathartha. And so there you can say this is not a rope, this is a snake, it is something else, it is a mala, it's a hose, can mistake it for any number of things. The scope of mistakes is unlimited. The scope of something as it is very specific. So if it is a rope, it is a rope. But you can take it as an infinite number of, not an infinite, but a very large number of things. So this is what pratiti means. Pratiti means, iti means yathartha. And prati plus iti means ayathartha. So pratyaya means pratiti. So this is exactly what is happening in our lives. We should really see this. I am living a life of pratiti. Not iti, but pratiti, pratyaya. How? Because anything I think about, which has two components, as we saw. I'm just revising it. This is nothing new. There are two components to my experience. One is this experience, and the other is I experience, my experience. There's a Sanskrit word for it called asmita. Asmita means a sense of my being there. Asmi means I am, and asmita means the sense of I am is called asmita. So this is what is called the I sense. So the I sense, the I bhava, what is called bhava, the I thought, I pratyaya, aham pratyaya, is also a pratyaya. Idam is also a pratyaya. So you describe your experiences as good, bad, tolerable, intolerable, etc., etc. The whole shebang of things. And you do the same thing about yourself. You say, when I was there, now I am here, and I'm not feeling very well, and I am disappointed, I'm happy, I'm relieved. I. So, as I was saying, all our experiences are in the form of pratyaya. And pratyaya means what? We should go back to the definition of pratyaya means pratiti. Pratiti means it is it's a reflection, not the real stuff. Reflection means reflection can be distorted. It is normally distorted. We talk about a mirror. This is a very unusual thing. The mirror being so clear, so designed to be a very accurate copy of yourself. But most of the other times, if you're looking yourself in a water or some other liquid, it is not as clear. The water is moving, the water can be dirty. So that's exactly what is happening, is that in my life, I am seeing my reflection. I'm not seeing myself. And I am seeing different reflections on myself, of myself. Every minute, my reflection changes. Depends upon, so it's a symbiotic relationship between the world and me. The world affects me, and I affect the world to a certain extent. So this is a pairing, as we were doing in the last class. It's a pairing. Aham vritti and idam vritti is a pair. This is what life is all about. And so in the waking state also, there is a pairing of I thought and this thought. And then you move over to the dream state, it's still a pairing, a different kind of pairing, different structure altogether, different circumstance, but a pairing. And then the deep sleep, it goes back to non-manifestation. The pairing temporarily disappears in the form of a seed. So it has not gone yet. It is there as a seed. So as you know, in the Sushupti Avastha, as we saw in, I think, Mandukya Upanishad, I don't remember the verse number 5 or 6, where the Sushupti Avastha is the seed in the form of Ishvara. So that's the cloud. Where is the seeds of your manifestation kept? Where is it kept? It is kept in some kind of a cosmic cloud that you can't touch it. It's there, unmanifested. But the seeds will come up again. As soon as you wake up, the seeds kind of like fructify. And fructify into pairs. I thought and this thought. Aham vritti, idam vritti. This is called pratyaya. Now, the word ekatma pratyaya saram. Saram. So, what does it mean? It means that you are sa-atma sa-vigneyaha. Because the seventh mantra is to talk about who you really are. The one that I'm missing. The one that I am sleepwalking to. That I is not a pratyaya, but a pratyaya saram. So it's like kind of saying, it is the unchanging water in the various forms of the waves. So the waves are the pratyayas, and the saram of the waves is the water, which is unchanging. And in the life, the water also changes, but in reality, the self, the sakshi, the reality of the aham doesn't change at all. It cannot change. The water at least has some ingredients. It is made out of a combination of H2O, so 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 oxygen, H2O. They combine together, it's a molecular structure. Atma is not a molecular structure. It is a singular, nirvikaraha, nirakaraha. Probably, I think, for purposes of understanding, I think the one thing that I would recommend that you really think about is that the pratyaya saram, which is you, sa vigneya, sa atma, is swayam siddhaha and swayam prakasha. This is very key to understand. Swayam siddhaha and swayam prakasha. That is what distinguishes it from the pratyaya. What distinguishes the pratyaya saram from the pratyaya itself, what distinguishes the water from the waves is even more, much more than the water obviously, is that it is independently existing. Swayam siddha, swayam bhavati, swayam bhu. Not only that, it is swayam prakasha. It is a light. It's an amazing thing, really. You know, you look at the light. So the light of the sun depends on a number of things. The sun also is not a fixed entity. It is also a number of fissions and fusions going on. And in fact, it will die out over a period of time. So it is not a permanent, not even a permanent, it's not swayam siddha and swayam prakasha. It is paraprakasha. It is in fact under the control of Ishvara. How long it will be, we don't know. There will be new suns that will come up. But the Atma is nothing but the essence of Paramatma, Parameshwara, Ishvara, is Swayam Siddha. This is why you can just see this. It's not something that it's not for something in the books. It's not Paroksha Jnanam. It is Aparoksha Jnanam. You should just see it for yourself. So, over and beyond everything, over and beyond the waking experience and the dream experience and the sleep experience is I am, I know. I know. I'm aware. You're listening to these words. You're aware. So see this fact. See this fact. This is an amazing thing, as we were just talking about in the retreat, that this is the diamond which is just amazing. Once you know that, your life is fulfilled, so to speak. And that means that the Atma, which is the Pratyaya Saram, is different from the Pratyaya. The Pratyayas come out in it, so the Jagrata Avastha arises every morning and dissolves every night. But the Saram does not change. So this is what is called Pratyaya Saram. So now one other thing I wanted to point out, I think I did already, but so it so happens that this pairing between idam vritti and aham vritti consists of the same phenomena of expression of the saram into pratyaya. It's the same pratyaya. Similar, not same pratyaya, but it's the same phenomena. It's a similar phenomena. So as soon as your dream starts, you do two things. You create a copy of yourself and you create a world around this copy of yourself. So it becomes the dream world and you are the dreamer in the dream world. So this is the process that happens. So here the Shastra says, please make a note of this, that in this pairing, what distinguishes the I thought from this thought? What is the main distinguishing ingredient between these two? Shastra says, please think about this. So what it says is that this thought has more inertness in it. Both of them are a combination of sentience and inertness. Both of them. So the entire world, the entire experience of the world, either in the waking state or in the dream state, is a combination of sentience and inertness. Like, for example, suppose you see this table. So the table seems like the table itself as an object is inert. It's the same table that we had last week. It's just sitting there. It's slowly deteriorating, but this table, it's interesting. I'm just thinking about this. We bought this. We imported this from India. Can you believe it? We just had a big consignment of furniture from India. We just like the carving done on it and so on. And we bought this we got this, so dumb that we did. We spent so much money in getting a consignment from India back in the 60s. Well, this table is as old as, 65 years old. Same thing. We have not had to polish it. So it's an inert object. But is it an inert object? No. Why not? Because it appears before me as a table thought. Without a table thought, there is no table. This is a very interesting, very important thing to know. This is the entire, we can extend this example of the table and the table thought. We should extend it to the entire experience of life. If you want to make a note of these key concepts, please do. The entire experience in my life, everything from birth to death, is in the form of thoughts. In the form of thoughts. So for example, this is called an inner thought. There is really it's an appearance. There is no reality to the inertness. The inertness is also within the sentience. And this is why the Ishvara has given us the experience of dreams. Because in very obvious that in the case of dreams also, there is no real solid table there. There's no solid table. That was interesting. I was dreaming last night. This is just, I woke up and my dream was that, I've been giving these examples of watching a movie. And it's very interesting. I had a dream where I am sitting watching a movie and the movie has not started yet. And some of my friends are sitting behind me and I'm saying, how come they are not here yet? They are late. The movie is about to start and they're not here yet. So I'm sitting in a chair in the dream. All that is going. It's really remarkable. So in that dream, there was a movie chair. And I guess there was an example of the hall with ads going on and the movie had not started yet. All that was solid looking things. There was a screen, there was a table, there was a chair. Not a table, but a chair. People, thoughts only thoughts. Please see this clearly. And if you don't see it clearly, you will. But have the shraddha towards this concept. This is a very key concept. In fact, if this was not true, what is not true? That the whole experience is nothing but pratyaya, thoughts. If this was not true, you cannot switch between waking state and dream state. You see, this is important to see. So in other words, if the Jagrat Avastha, the waking state, really had solids, supposing the solid is the inertness of the solidity is independent of the thought separately, then it would go into the dream also. But it doesn't. The whole thing is completely dismissed. So what that means is, we should see this. This is what is said in the teaching of Vedanta. And I've said this several times and I don't mind repeating it, that Ishvara does not want us to just believe without a proof. So when we postulate, when we do anumana, you can make any kind of a, this is what is called philosophy. I just responded to somebody. And I do this. This is one of my pet criticisms maybe or whatever, but this I've been well trained by Swami Dayanandji. He says, do not call Vedanta a philosophy, please. I know Swami Paramarthananda, I've seen some of his words, he uses the word philosophy. And he understands very well, but he still uses it, probably to communicate it to the others that have a fixed form of philosophy. But I was well trained by Swami, not as though Swami Paramarthananda is not well trained. He's a Mahatma and I respect him. All I'm telling you is that the moment Swami Dayanandji pointed out that you are not a philosophy, right? Are you a philosophy? You are the only thing that is not a philosophy, actually. Everything else is, all the pratyayas are philosophies. But the pratyaya saram is not a philosophy, it's a fact. So, it is important for us to see what is a pratyaya saram. So pratyaya saram is the one that does not change at all. And that can only be one, which is you. And that you must be Swayam Siddhaha and Swayam Prakashaha. You cannot depend on anything. Otherwise you will become relative. You are not relative, you are absolute. Anyway, I'll come back to it in a minute, but let me finish my thought. I had not finished it, so just looking at my notes, I don't want to leave it incomplete. So what I was saying was that the pratyayas are of two kinds, the idam pratyaya and the aham pratyaya, the this thought and I thought. So in this exposition, this process is determined by two things. One is that the idam pratyaya has a heavy dose of inertness. That was the thought I was conveying. That really speaking, there is no such thing as an independent inert. It's an inert thought. So there are two components. There is sentience and inertness. So when I look at the world, the inertness predominates. Yes, there are some things that are moving and so on, but they have a very sense of being not me. They're just, I can close my eyes and everything disappears. So the idam pratyaya has, so in Sanskrit, in the technical words, the idam pratyaya is jada pradhana. Jada pradhana means that the jadatvam, which is inertness, is the majority. Pradhana means not entirely, but it has a predominant role in it. On the other hand, the aham pratyaya is chaitanya pradhana. So see the distinction? Idam pratyaya is jada pradhana and aham pratyaya is chaitanya pradhana. So how can we say it is chaitanya pradhana? Because there is some jadatvam in that also. There is jadatvam in the aham pratyaya also. How? So whenever I look at myself quantitatively, as a pratyaya, that is the jadatvam in it. So for example, supposing you say, I am just here. I am not there. Supposing you say that. Then the here-ness or there-ness is the jadatvam. The I is the chaitanyam. So it's a combination, but the I is pradhana, the Chaitanya is pradhana, but the Jada is minority. There is a reason I'm mentioning all this. This is not just theoretical. The reason I'm mentioning it is that the viveka that one needs to do between pratyaya and pratyaya saram. So, for example, viveka means that you can talk to a 2-year-old and say, you know, this is a wave of the water, and this is water. That youngster, 2-year-old will say, I don't understand. They're the same thing. You're saying this is water. You say, what is this? Say, this is also water. This is also water. But there is a distinction. There is a viveka necessary that a wave is something which has some nama rupa, some name and form in addition to the vastu. It has some time limitations, some changes, and so on. And so, yes, in a way it is water, we agree. But it's not quite. So, there is a viveka necessary between pratyaya and pratyaya sara. This is what the growth in one's ability to understand means. What it means is that you need to do a difference, you need to make a distinction between who you are and your reflection. So this is the point I was making. I was going to make. That is, there are different kind of vivekas. In the ultimate analysis, what is the most important viveka and therefore the most challenging viveka? I like the word challenging instead of difficult. Difficult means that you just say, for example, it's very difficult. So immediately your mind says, oh my gosh, I can't do it. If it is that difficult, then how am I going to do it? I think the word challenging is much more open-ended. It means that it's not done yet, but do it. Yeah. There is no difficulty or not difficulty, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I would say that the most challenging and the most effective viveka, the final viveka that we have to do, is between I, which is pratyaya saram, essence of the pratyaya, and the aham pratyaya. What is called ahankara. Aham karoti iti ahamkara. The one thought, the I thought. The thought which is in the form of I. I did this. I am going. I think. This I, who is this I? I. It is the aham vritti. It is called ahamkara. And this is called Ekatma Pratyaya. And the most important viveka that we need to do is between my sense of who I think I am and who I really am. Because it is not hard for me to distinguish myself from the world. It's very obvious. It doesn't take a big scholar. Although we get mixed up as when we were growing up, but very soon we can tell you are different from the world. Yeah, that's the first step. But that you are different from who you think you are is more challenging. And because I'm very used to being who I think I am. You see, that's the thing. Very interesting. I'm very used to it. I've accepted it. I've accepted the fact that I'm very limited, that I was born at a particular time, and I'm going to die at a particular time. I've accepted it, and sometimes I don't like it, but that's the way things are. So I don't even go beyond that. This is very interesting. One thing I was just thinking about this. We had an incident in our home. It's almost like a month now, 3 weeks or so. Very interesting. So right where I'm sitting in this room, on the other side of the wall, there is a walkway between the family room, which is on this side, and another room and bathroom on that side. There's a passageway on the other side of this wall. So about 3 weeks ago, my son and his family were visiting us from San Francisco. And it was kind of like evening time around, it was getting dark. And so they turned the switch on to have the passageway lighted. And all of a sudden it went dark. So we said, this is funny. So is it some bulb that has gone bad? No, there were 3 bulbs, all about 10 feet apart. All of them were dark. Then we found out that you go to the bathroom lights are not working. Then we go to the living room, and living room's lights are not working. Family rooms are working, but kind of like 1/3 of the home has gone dark. Very funny. How can that be? So my son was ready to go back home. The kids were getting tired and so on. So he says, okay, now let's do some analysis. So maybe some circuit breaker, had tripped over. So we looked at all the circuit breakers. Everything was fine. So I told Manoj, I said, Manoj, why don't you leave? We can do this. It's okay. It's no problem. Anyway, long story short, next morning I called a handyman that I really respect and like. He's a very intelligent guy. He's from Europe, and he's been just wonderful in really debugging a lot of. He's an electrician. He's got all kinds of skills. So I called him. Anyway, long story short, the poor guy was just took 6-7 hours to debug. We found out that the rats in the attic had chewed the wire which had shorted, and it created such a current that it just reverberated into different circuits, and 3 or 4 different circuits also fused. It was such a difficult thing to debug. And there is no, you can't go to the attic, so you have to poke holes. What a process we went through. Now, why am I telling you all this? You know, I was thinking about this, and I would like to convey to you an important concept, which is this. There is current in the whole home, and the electricity is functioning quite well. And occasionally you may have a bulb that runs out. You change the bulb. Occasionally the PG&E, which happens not occasionally, it happens quite often, like 2 or 3 times a year, I'll get a text and saying, there's been a problem in your neighborhood and we are trying to fix it, and it'll take 4 more hours. Sometimes it takes 2 days. But we accept it. We accept it because it is a known thing, and it'll, everything is functioning quite well. That is really what I'm saying. But there is a short circuit done by a small animal, a rat, that creates complete havoc, unexpected. Okay? So bear with me on this. I really think this is, for me, this is an important concept. So here's what happens. Our lives are functioning well. Yes, we have problems, and yes, we have problems with health. Of course, just like, bulbs can fuse and you replaced the bulb. Our health can, our body parts can give you problem, you can fix it. Money problems, expected problems in relationships, all those kinds of things are part of the overall experience of normal living. And in fact, then comes the Upadesha of the Shastra. So the Shastra says, listen, there is something very interesting going on. You are in fact that pratyaya saram, which is swayam prakashaha, swayam bhavati, and you are the very essence of the real. You are the reality behind everything. This also is part of a normal teaching that gives us the essence of what our life is. All this is going on. The teaching of Vedanta and learning of Vedanta, reading the things, all this is very normal. And in fact, with the instructions of the Shastra, which you are very fortunate to be part of, you are exposed to the teaching of complete independence from problems. That you are in fact the very Sakshi of everything and you're independent of it. All of this is going on. So this is what is called a good normal life. Better than normal life. It's very good. Even the potential of reaching, forget about Jivan Mukti, but even the potential of understanding is very beautiful. All that is going on. So this is like a functioning electricity in the whole home. Very well. But there is something that can short circuit it, which prevents the light not being on. What is it? That rat in the attic in our life is that I view everything from a standpoint of limitedness. See, so I want to just make sure that you understand this part. In other words, the potential of freedom, the potential of really reaching what the goal of life is, which is a complete cessation of all problems of my life. That's all we are seeking. And the Shastra says, yes, absolutely. You can do that. It is not a gradual process. It will just happen. So this is the normal instruction of the Shastra that I should be able to, it's a fact. It's not as there's no agenda here. It'll say, hey, just look at this. Don't you see this? Don't you see this is how the electricity should be functioning in the home? But it doesn't. Something has short-circuited it. What is it that short-circuits it? This is what we have to see. In our view, in my view, and my view means not my independent view, but after reading all of the Mahatmas and texts and so on, learning and so on, what short circuits is the thought that I am just a limited person. Parichinnatvam. And the way to fix it, to fix the parichinnatvam, is to see that the parichinnatvam, the sense of limitation, is also a pratyaya. It's a pratyaya, but one I cling on to and do not discard. So much so that I look at the entire instruction by the Shastra, the entire teaching of Bhagavad Gita and so on, from the standpoint of saying, but how can I be? I'm only this much. That one I cling on to. I don't tackle that rat. That's a rat. Parichinnatvam is the rat that has chewed the wires of normalcy. This we will go back to. Please remember this. So the parichinnatvam, the sense of limitation, is that one that short circuits any sense of freedom that I am being taught. Until and unless you question the fact is the parichinnatvam itself a fact or not until you really tackle that on. Until you take the rat out and you replace the wire, you're not going to get the light back on. So this is the self-doubt, the self-assessment, which torpedoes all of your thinking. Because what happens is that I look at Swami Akhandananda had made this very beautiful, interesting thing. He says there was a person that approached, because Swami Akhandananda also, when he had a number of other people that he really respected, he had lots of wonderful people, Udiya Babaji, I forget his name, Karpatri ji, a lot of people who were just, he thought they know exactly very clearly, Ramana Maharshi and so on. So he would go and sit down with them and participate in their satsangs, discuss, and all of that. That's what his whole life was. So he recounts that. He recounts this fact. He says, one time I was sitting with, I forget, he says one with some Mahatmas, so he didn't give the name. And so this person came. The other thing about what he talks about is that even the people that he was familiar with in his life were all very sincere seekers, almost like experienced seekers. They're not like saying, I don't know what's going on and this, that, or the other. They say, Vedanta, it really makes a lot of sense, but I'm not there yet. So what's missing? What more do I need to do? So these were all what is called Madhyama Adhikaris. They are not Uttama Adhikaris. They are not the best students yet, but they were very sincere students. So their questions were also very valid. That was the point he was making. So he says, I was sitting in a satsang one time, and this man approached the Mahatma, and Mahatma was telling about, what the Atma is, how it is done, and so on. So he said to the Mahatma, Sir, I don't see it that way. I don't see what you're telling me. I respect what you're telling me, that's why I'm here. But frankly, I don't see it. I'm being very frank. Why is it that? Tell me, why? So the Mahatma told him, listen, the facts are facts. It is how you look at them that makes all the difference. I remember Swami Dayanandji also had a similar way of explaining. I still recall this. I'll bring this up into this. He says there is a difference between a point of view and a view. Point of view and a view. View is pratyaya saram, yourself as you really are, yathartha. The point of view is how you look at the truth. So the Mahatma told him, just to finish that story, my dear student, he told him, the reason that my description of your life and your description of your life do not match is because you are looking at it from a particular standpoint, a point of view. You should be ready to abandon that point of view and to understand the view itself if you want to see the picture. So, for example, if you look at, supposing this is the difference between you remember I went through this example of the Mahakasha, the total space, and Mathakasha, which is a vessel space. So the entire set of concepts that are true about the Mahakasha will not be understood unless and until you are willing to give up your point of view of looking at it from your own vessel limited sense. You have to look at where the error is being made. So anyway, I think I'll go back to it. So what it means is that let me give you a kind of an example of this, of the phenomena of the sense of limitation. I'll give you one example of this. It's one of many different things, but something that I wanted to do. Something that I think is appropriate to bring out. So, the Shastra says that the entire Srishti, the entire sense of creation, the cosmos, what you say is the cosmos, which includes the earth, the sun and the moon, and the galaxies and stars, and Ishvara, and everything, all included that in the cosmos. Is in your mind only. There is no reality to it. There's no reality to it. In other words, in every life, in every manifestation of yourself, because every life is a new day in your life, kind of like. So that's why even we have a day in the life, which is a micro day, but there is a macro day, which means the whole life. And then when the body etc. collapses, then you have to remanufacture that. So the entire life is your creation. And there is no creation other than that. We haven't really spent a lot of time explaining that because this is advanced Vedanta. But I'm just telling you that this is the way it will end when we understand the whole thing. Now, I don't understand that because I have valid doubts. The doubts are, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Because long after I am gone, the world continues. I was born into this life which was already existing. And it is I'm very certain that after I'm gone, what is going to happen? Life will go on. The whole world will go on. So how can you say that the entire cosmos is my creation? There's no cosmos without your mind. How can you say that? Because the cosmos continues. There is a rat that has chewed the wire of understanding. If you want to call it the wire of understanding, if you want to call it understanding, the electricity, which is a fully functional electricity, which means the Upadesha. And the Upadesha says that the whole thing is nothing but yourself. Ekashrishtivada. So, this is what the Parameshwara is. Parameshwara is not different from you. So when you say that you created, that means that the ability of Parameshwara to create through you. So it's not as though, see, that's part of the problem. Because you feel the rat in the whole system has completely torpedoed it, is the feeling that I am only this much. This is my reality. And I'm looking everything from this standpoint only. So this is what the Mahatma was saying. He says, my dear student, I fully understand what you are saying. I understand it. If you'll keep looking at yourself from the unshakable idea that I am only this much, then of course your entire point of view will be from that standpoint. If you think that you are just the wave, you're not part of the ocean, then other waves will become competitors, threatening you. But if you understand that the waviness is just an upadhi, I am really the water, I am the whole ocean. I'm the ocean that is the sara of my own body as well as the bodies of all the other waves. It's only one water. If you understand that, then it's a different view altogether. So this is what the Mahatma was telling him. He says, please be patient and work on the rat that chews the wire of the entire understanding, that I am just a limited person. Because the sense of limitation also is a pratyaya. You are really not a pratyaya. You are a pratyaya saram. Ekatma pratyaya saram. I think what I'm going to do, the next thing, now I think we are done completely, not completely, but exhaustively with the pratyayas, ekatma pratyaya saram. Now we will go over to prapancha upashamam, shivam shantam. This will be from the next class. There's only 5 minutes more left. So I think I will stop here and not go into this relatively different topic, which is prapancha upashamam. All related, of course. It's not as though they're completely different, but the emphasis, the explanation, the analysis is different. So we will take that up in the next class. Okay? Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. No. All right, good to see you all. We'll see you next week. Hari Om.